For this week's assignment, I decided to analyze the 2024 limited series Griselda, starring Sofia Vergara. It is a 6-episode series that is currently available on Netflix, and it tells the story of Griselda Blanco, a Colombian drug trafficker who became known as La Madrina, or the godmother of cocaine, during the Miami cocaine boom in the 70s and 80s. It is even said that Pablo Escobar himself said that she is the only person that he feared. And honestly, that makes sense because she was one of the most powerful and definitely one of the most violent figures operating in Miami's drug trade at that time. I wanted to analyze her because honestly, the cartel space is constantly dominated by male figures. So for there to be such a powerhouse and it to be a queen pin instead of a kingpin, I couldn't pass it up. So let's get into what the show starts off in 1975 with Griselda arriving in Miami with her 3 sons after fleeing her husband in Colombia. We watch her build a drug empire from scratch, starting just by smuggling cocaine in women's bras and eventually running an operation that rivals some of the biggest names in the game. We are able to see her strategic mind and her brutal methods, and her eventual arrest in 1985 after a years-long investigation by Miami-Dade detective June Hawkins. However, the reality of this situation is that the series took some major creative liberties. In reality, in 1975, Griselda was not just a desperate single mom trying to start over. She had already been running a massive trafficking operation with her husband, Alberto. Court documents actually show that she was central to the whole operation. While in Miami, she develops new distribution strategies and forms partnerships with dealers and builds some crazy networks that allow her to amass a large amount of control. The show also portrays the extreme violence that characterized the Miami cocaine wars at that time in Griselda's life, including assassinations and territorial conflicts between the different trafficking groups. But central to the entire story was the emphasis on Blanco's personal life and her role as a mother. A lot of the movies depict her trying to balance her criminal empire with her family life and making sure that her sons are safe. Despite her being pegged as this family person, she's not a family person. She actually earned the nickname the Black Widow because she allegedly had all 3 of her husbands killed. Despite her being portrayed as this family woman, she actually coined the nickname the Black Widow because she allegedly had all 3 of her husbands killed or killed them herself. She actually pioneered the use of hitmen on motorcycles, a tactic that eventually took her out and is still used today. But she was suspected of ordering over 200 murders, including a 2-year-old boy who was caught in a hit meant for his father, even though a large part of the show is the hitman not being able to take out children, even Griselda. It's clear that the show wants us to feel bad for Griselda, and she's constantly framed as a single mom doing whatever it takes to protect her kids. We see her escaping an abusive marriage. We see her with no other options and no one to turn to. And for me, personally, it worked. I was rooting for her for a while, even though she kept doing these horrible things. And that is the exact problem of shows like this. They used her role as a mother to justify her violence. And that's just not something we ever see with male drug lords. Like, nobody has ever defended Pablo Escobar being like, oh, well, he just wanted to take care of his kids at home. He's just violent. The truth of the matter is that Griselda let her ego and her need for control take over. She experienced trauma and a loss of autonomy with her husbands, and instead of protecting her kids, she chose money and power. She put them in danger over and over again. The show gives us this sympathetic backstory, but it doesn't change who she actually was. Even with her downfall ending, the show makes her life look exciting. They showed the fashion, the power, the moves, the drama. Hero story in the same vein as Scarface or The Godfather. And it's entertaining, and that is why it's problematic. And people even began idolizing horrible people that caused real harm to real people. Media portrayals have consequences. Shows like this contribute to what researchers call a phenomena of narco-cultura. It's the glamorization of cartel life. We see designer clothes, luxury cars, power. But what we don't see is the bodies, the trauma, the families destroyed, and just the psychological torture that so many impacted people are going through. It should be incredibly concerning to us that cartels are beginning to recruit young people on social media. Like, nobody should log on to TikTok and be enlisting in the cartel after that. They post job ads promising good money, free housing, and an exciting lifestyle. Research actually shows that nearly half of the people who end up being recruited through Facebook or other online sources actually approached the cartel themselves. They asked how to join. They were brought into it by the romanticized versions of what that life looks like. And this show is just another example of presenting drug traffickers as a dramatic rise to power story, being the main character in, and that is dangerous. Even me, for example, I found it interesting and cool that Griselda was a woman and so powerful. Some people might take that the wrong way and be inspired to be the next Griselda. They want to be as notable as her. So overall, while Griselda is a great show, it's well made, and Sofia Vergara gave a great performance, we have to think critically about what we're watching. The sympathy that the show creates for Griselda does not erase who she really was as a person. And the way that we tell these stories matters. This isn't just for entertainment. It's about how we understand the real impact of organized crime and what it means for the world.